Hello and welcome to Smaulgld's Russian gold reserve update for the month of January 2019. Russia added 200,000 ounces of gold to reserves, or about 6.22 tons. Now, this has been a bit lower than recent monthly additions, but we're going to give an overview of 2018 and also put it in the context of the most recent gold addition in January 2019. Important to note, Russia added 87% of its domestic gold mining production and reserves in 2018. Keep in mind, Russia is the third largest gold producer in the world, behind Australia, and number one gold producer, China, who also retains pretty much 100% of their gold reserves. So the number one and number three gold producing countries are hoarding their own gold. Now, Russian central bank gold reserves rose to 2,118 tons in January. We've got some charts to show you where that puts Russia in the overall league tables for central banks, and they did that by adding 200,000 ounces, or about 6.22 tons of gold to reserves in January. Russian gold reserves are indeed the fifth largest central bank holdings, and last year they added a record 271 tons of gold to reserves. And since June 2015, the Central Bank of Russia has added a whopping 836 tons of gold to reserves. Now, the overall Russian reserve position, the Russian foreign reserves, now stand at nearly $500 billion at $475.944 billion. That's up about 26% from January 2016. Russian Treasury holdings as part of those reserves are down around the $10 to $14 billion mark. They still hold dollars in currencies, but not in dollars in U.S. Treasury form. Now, Russian gold reserves are worth nearly $90 billion, and that's about 18.8% of that overall Russian gold, Russian reserve position. Let's take a look at some charts that we have here. Here's a chart showing Russian gold reserves between June 2015 and January 2019. And you do see that inexorable climb. There's that 837-ton increase in gold. How do they do that? Here's a chart showing what they've done over the past 25 years or so, dating back to 1994. You can see they've really stepped up their gold acquisitions starting around 2009, tailed off a bit 2011, 12, and 13, but ever since 2014 they have been adding prodigious amounts of gold to reserves. If you're interested in adding gold to your own reserve, consider shopping through the Smaulgld affiliate links. You can shop at Golden Eagle Coins, SD Bullion, Money Metals Exchange, compare pricing and shipping. If you click on those links below this BitChute, this YouTube, or on the Smaulgld website, you'll be taken to those websites and you'll pay no more, no less than if you visited those directly. However, Smaulgld will make a small commission. Not an investment advice to buy gold or silver. However, if you are going to buy gold and silver, please consider doing so and helping out the site at the affiliate links. Now, here is the Russian monthly gold additions, June 2014 to January 2019. You can see many months in which they add over 1 million ounces of gold a month. They haven't done that since, looks like November of 2018. A smaller month in December, and you can see that January 2019 was one of the lowest months. You have to go all the way back to about April of 2018 to get that small amount. Still adding gold, though, at a decent rate. That's 6.22 tons. And Russia has added, if you look at this chart from June 2014 to January 2019, this is about over 1,000 tons. This is 1,039 tons from June 2014 to January 2019. A staggering 33.4 million ounces. Now, here is gold reserve by country, top 10, and you can see Russia there at 2118. The current pace, in less than 2 years, they should burst past France and Italy and come in third place behind Germany and the United States, with central banks of Germany. By the way, the United States Central Bank, the Fed, because it's not part of the U.S. government, does not own the gold. It is held by the U.S. Treasury. All of these other countries that are listed, Germany, Italy, France, Russia, China, Switzerland, Japan, Netherlands, and India, those are the respective central banks of the country. And the Central Bank of the Federation of Russia is moving up the tables pretty quickly, as you can see. The People's Bank of China has stalled. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of gold in China or in Chinese Communist Party member hands or other state-owned enterprises, state-owned banks. It's just that the People's Bank of China is listing 1,864 tons of gold. Here's an interesting chart I've been tracking for a while. I've added the percentages now to the bottom. It reflects Russian gold reserve additions versus its mining production. Going back to 2006, these numbers are from the USGS survey, and the most recent numbers I think were from a Reuters article. So in 2018, looks like Russia had record production of 314 tons of gold, of which they added 271 tons of that gold to the central bank's reserves. And that was 86%, and that's just in line with what they did in 2017, which was add 86% of their 260 tons of mined gold to reserves, and that was 224 tons that they added. And you can look at this chart at your leisure. It's on the Smaulgld website. It's easier to see there, so go check it out at smaulgld.com. But you can see there were some years back in 2006, they only added 9%, 2007 only 30%. They've really started adding over 80% since 2016. So as their gold mining production looks like it's on the increase since pretty much the entire period of this chart, they're starting to add a greater percentage of that gold to reserves. As to Russian gold versus U.S. Treasuries, the value, as we mentioned, of Russian gold is now $89 billion, and their Treasury reserves, U.S. Treasury reserves, are about $14 billion. Looks like Russia will hit over $100 billion in gold reserves if they continue at the same pace, and the price of gold continues to rise. One final point on Russian reserve assets. You can see here the blue line are the overall reserves, and the bulk of that is in currency. Currency reserves there, not including the gold reserves. You got $374 billion in currency reserves at the end of January 2019, and 475 total reserves, 475 billion total reserves in January 2019. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Make sure you join us each and every night for a live stream covering gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, and the economy, usually around 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we start a little later, 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock, and occasionally, like this weekend on Saturday night, we will have a special guest, Salivate Metal, and we will start at 6:30. It's generally Saturday night is Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld, where we cover silver topics, and we'll have Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld and Sal this Saturday. So please check it out, and we will see you this evening. Thank you.